Hey everyone, this is Bram Kanstein, and you're listening to Bitcoin for Millennials. Together with my guests on this podcast, I go on a journey to discover how our current financial system works, why it's flawed, and why Bitcoin is the most relevant technology that you, my fellow millennials, should adopt. In this episode, I'm joined by Chris Knight, a.k.a. Bitcoin Chris. He's a financial coach and mentor, helping people analyze and repair their credit. He's also an entrepreneur, investor, and author, and his upcoming book is called Fiat Dad Bitcoin Dad. That's a great take on the OG title, man. He's a very outspoken Bitcoin believer, and I'm excited to talk with him. Welcome, man.
Thank you for having me, and absolutely, I'm excited to chat with you and spread the gospel of Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin.
So how did you get into Bitcoin? I'd love to hear that because I just off mic, I told you I saw your music. You're a rapper as well. So obviously rappers love money.
We love money.
Was that the entry?
No, actually, I talk down on the rappers because um, they teach. They don't teach. They influence us to spend money frivolously on things that really don't matter, right? And
Hmm.
they influence us. The culture is cool and all that. We influence the culture. Hip hop influences the world, right? But that wasn't how I was influenced by Bitcoin. I was actually introduced to Bitcoin by Max and Stacy, Max Kaiser, Stacy Herbert, and I
Yeah.
actually was working a normal job. I used to work at Hilton at a call center, and somehow I stumbled across Bitcoin and some shit coins. And back then, this is probably 26. This is 2016. Back then, I had no idea about money. I had no idea what Bitcoin was. I had no idea what shitcoins were. I just saw, you can make a lot of money from it. So instead of taking phone calls, I was actually, buying Bitcoin and buying shitcoins and, trying to figure out how to, get into it. And I'm pretty tech savvy, so buying the shitcoins on all these crazy exchanges and, doing all that was easy to me. But instead of taking phone calls, I actually bought my first Bitcoin was on Coinbase. So I was on Coinbase buying Bitcoin, and when I saw Bitcoin, it was like five, $700, $800, $1,000, and I'm like, and I was thinking of it as a stock. I'm like, there's no way I'm buying this stock for $1,000 because I'm so used to stocks moving 2%, 5%, 10%. Those baby gains, right? Stocks don't really move like
Hmm.
that. But when Bitcoin went from that's when the Bitcoin bull market started, right? Because Bitcoin went from $1,000 to $20,000, and again, I didn't really know much about it until I started learning from Max and Stacy. So shout out to the OGs, the grandpa, grandma of Bitcoin, Max and Stacy. I got to meet them as well. They follow me as well on Twitter.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm really cool with them. I chat with them all the time, and they're the best in my opinion. So without them, I wouldn't be a Bitcoiner.
Oh man, that's dope. Well, actually, Max is one of my biggest influences as well. I always I had to laugh when I saw what his company was called. It was called Heisenberg Capital, named after after Walter White in Breaking Bad.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like anyone who's listening who doesn't know Max Kaiser, you should just search him on YouTube, and then you know why he's so influential. Like he's been calling Bitcoin, I think, from 10 cents or a dollar. I don't even know, $3. I have no clue. And he gave like thousands of Bitcoin away to people just to educate them. So oh man, that's dope. That's fun that you share that. But you saw it as a stock before, or like a money making something. Now you see it as something different. I
Absolutely.
think. Like
Absolutely.
what was your aha moment there? Like when did that view change?
Well, seeing how Max and Stacy on the Kaiser report before they took down RT on YouTube, they would explain the cantillionaire effect. They would explain what's going on with the money. They would explain what's going on with inflation. They would explain what's going on over in China, and they would just explain to their audience, what's really going on with our money. And so, growing up, I knew something was wrong with the money. I didn't have an understanding of what was going on with the money, so they were able to break it down for me in a way that I was able to understand. And the best way for me, the best way I like to explain it is, it's real estate is the best way I like to explain how much the money's gone
Yeah, I
down.
saw you said Bitcoin is the real estate.
That's
So
right. It's the only property that you can
right?
own. And even though I'm a proponent of cash flowing businesses, such as real estate, I Bitcoin is, number one. I have Bitcoin tatted on my face. That's a B for Bitcoin on my face. If you didn't know,
Oh, I got one. I got one on my
hey,
arm.
hey, that's
So
what's up.
got you.
Excellent. So, back in when our parents were growing up, well, I'm in America, so I know you're overseas in Europe. But here in America, when our parents were growing up, they could buy a house for 30, 40, 50 grand. And, that's because the dollar was so strong back then. And now the same house is worth $350,000. And that's not because of the value of the house going up, it's the value of our dollar and the purchasing power going down. So that just shows you how much inflation has pretty much just eliminated and annihilated our purchasing power. And that was the great aha moment for me. And as well as, the 2008 crisis, I remember that like it was yesterday because, everyone that I know, when the banks crashed, the depression, everybody was hurting. So I remembered all going through these times with our money and understanding that they bailed out the banks, but we got the short end of the stick. And the only way to opt out of the system was to buy Bitcoin. And once I figured that out, you know, I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel off rip, right? And I'm very defiant, and like you said, I'm very outspoken. So once I understood how we were being screwed by our governments and by the money printing, I was like, you know what? I'm all in. I'm all the way in.
And how long would you say did it take you to go from this is a cool investment to to understanding what you just said?
Um, it took me a little bit. It took me a little bit of time because you do have to do the work, right? And you have to learn, and you have to
Hmm.
go. I think most people have to go through a bear cycle to understand it. I actually rode Bitcoin up to 20,000 and all the way back down to 3,000, and then I bought more. Went up to 10K, then went back down to 3,000. So I was actually in the space that whole time, and I was just accumulating at that time. And the great thing is in 2017 when we hit that bubble, I actually started my business. I actually started credit repair and started to learn about, money and credit in the United States. So by
Hmm.
the time 2020 came around before the pandemic, I was still working at a job, but I was able to understand how credit works in America. And I was able to get my brother and myself over $100,000 on credit, and I bought Bitcoin right before the bull run happened. And I was actually contemplating on whether I should buy real estate or if I should buy Bitcoin. And the only reason why real estate is good is again the cash flow and the tax advantages of it. So I know British says if you buy real estate, you're stupid. I can agree with that, but it depends on what your outcome and what you're trying to accomplish is. So if you're looking to
Hmm.
accomplish saving money on taxes, and if you're looking to accomplish, cash flow, and you're not using your hard-earned money, that's why we use credit. We use the bank's money to buy assets, that cash flow to pay back the money, right? So if you're doing that, then yes, that makes sense. But at that time, instead of me buying real estate, I took money and I just bought Bitcoin and I started a business. And it was the best decision I ever made. And from there, we went from 3 grand to 5 grand to 10 grand to 20 grand to $69,000. And the whole time I was online promoting and telling everybody to buy Bitcoin, telling everybody to buy Bitcoin. They didn't want to listen. We hopped on, me and British and countless other people on the clubhouse rooms every day buying Bitcoin, encouraging people, educating people on Bitcoin, the wallets, the same dumbass questions every day. What wallet should I get? What wallet should I get? Should we buy Ethereum? And some people have to learn the
Hmm.
hard way, and I did get into shit coins and I did lose a lot of money and I did trade and I lost a lot of money. But I feel like everybody, not everybody, but majority of the people need to go through that to understand,
Yeah.
what Bitcoin is.
And also then why Bitcoin is not crypto, of course. And yeah, I think that's great. I have a few things that like pique my mind. I love that everyone says you have to do the work, right?
That's right.
What is the work? What is the work? Like what is that like learning and unlearning, uh challenging yourself? Like how,
You hit the nail.
what would you say is the
Absolutely. You
work?
hit the nail right on the head. It's unlearning and relearning because everything that we taught is a lie. And I actually learned that at a young age by watching, Zeitgeist and all these other videos and, the conspiracy theories that they call people crazy, right? They're not crazy. Conspiracy theories are more closer than the truth than what we're being told. So I learned that our society and everything that we learned, was a lie. So I had to unlearn. We're taught that credit is bad. We're taught that, you know, buy everything in cash. We're taught to buy a home and get a 30-year mortgage, even though you pay the mortgage off, you pay the house off damn near three times. And if you don't know how money works, and you don't know that you're supposed to buy investments to pay for your liabilities, you're just going to continue to do what everybody's been doing for the last, century, right, in America. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
unlearn all the brainwashing, all the, what would be the correct terminology for that? It would be
Well, you start thinking for yourself in a sense, right?
absolutely the
Like
conditioning.
really.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start thinking for yourself, and most people aren't ready to do that, unfortunately.
So when you try to orange pill people, like what's the biggest I want to say pushback you get, but more like I don't know if pushback is the word.
Yeah,
Like I like the hesitancy, right? Like I think with Bitcoin, there's a lot of things that you can like logically explain. Like the financial system works like A, but that doesn't really make sense because etc. 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 Right? But then that is just what it is, right? It's not even your opinion. You're just sharing how you have understood, that it now works. But in my experience, like a lot of people think like, oh, whoa, holy, holy moly, like that's really confronting my current beliefs,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so they kind of get on a defense in a sense. Like, what's your experience there? Like, how do you mitigate that
I
or try?
Yeah, and I'm very brash, and I used to be way more like
Mm-hmm.
aggressive and way more brash, so I've toned it down a lot, trust me. But I've to I usually just give them Bitcoin, right? And the biggest pushback I get is the unit bias. They think, oh, I have to buy a Bitcoin. I don't have $30,000. I don't have 20,000. I don't have 10,000. I don't have 5,000. They don't have nothing, right? A lot of people don't have anything, unfortunately. But this is why I talk the way I talk, because for me, it's just an excuse. But I feel like it's the education that needs to be done first. However, if they buy stocks, if they buy stocks, then they should have an idea about investing. And a lot of people don't buy stocks. There's a very, very small percentage of people that are investing
Mm-hmm.
in the middle class. So I would usually just give them Bitcoin, right? I say, here's $10 for your Bitcoin. Hey, watch it go up and down. Watch it go up and down. And a lot of people also got burned, right? A lot of people got scammed, right? A lot of people bought Dogecoin, Shiba. A lot of people buy Bitcoin and they send it to somebody else that sends them a DM and says they can turn their $500 into $10,000 in a week. So, a lot of people got scammed that way, so they're turned off to the space. They lost money with, like I said, Dogecoin because of Elon, so they're turned off to the space, and they don't even really want to hear it, at the end of the day. However, once I give them some free Bitcoin and I say, hey, inflation is real, because I tell them, hey, the gas, how much is gas now? How much is your groceries now? The same $20 bill is not buying as much, and I just try to explain it to them in that way, educate them. Sometimes they push back, sometimes they don't. They get it. A lot of times it doesn't click for them. It still doesn't click,
Yeah.
even though I give these examples. So that's why I just give them the Bitcoin, and they watch it grow, and then when it's their time, everybody buys
Yeah.
Bitcoin at the price they deserve. So if they don't get it after I explain it to them, I've done my job.
I think it's an interesting like team that's coming back in this podcast now. You're my seventh guest, and everyone kind of mentions the same, and it's starting to dawn on me more and more. Like we should ask more questions, kind of like less explaining, more asking questions, because it also took you and me as well like a while to actually understand why does this thing exist, right? And why this exists is because there's a problem with how good the money is, and most people don't know that. So they first have to know, then they have to understand, right? And then they have to understand also, and Bitcoin is just really hard to understand, I think, still, that is a possible solution, right? So there's like 3 steps, and usually, we begin somewhere within these 3 steps. we begin to talk, but I think a lot of people realize later on, like, okay, I know it, I believe in it, I think everyone should have it, like, I think, even like what you say, like if you use strong language or you're a bit aggressive, like it's just because and you love these other people, right? And you just want them to know as well, right? Like I think, and I experience the same. It's like a very altruistic feeling, because I think like I'm good, you're probably good, like you just want other
To
people
be good.
to understand as
Yeah.
well, right? And that is just what takes over this kind of like enthusiastic talking type way, while you actually have to just be really chill and just ask questions like, do you think it's okay to to pay 5 times more for your cucumber or your bread or your, you know, whatever you buy in the store, right? Over the years, and then explain like, okay, like then you have like a little thread that you can basically pull from and just start answering questions, hopefully, there, right?
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. Asking questions and letting them kind of figure it out for themselves. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it's not that we're brash, right, or we're aggressive. It's we're passionate, right? And some people may mistake our passion for, you know, being lewd or being aggressive or being brash, right? And maybe sometimes it's both, right?
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes people are just fucking idiots, right? So a lot of people are stupid, right? So we have to keep that in mind too. A lot of people are just stupid. So at the same time, it's like a balance, right? We have to find that balance.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I think like, is it because I also know a lot of super intelligent people that also don't want to get it, right? So sometimes I think like it's not really about intelligence. It's really about, do you have the capability of challenging your beliefs,
Mm,
right? And think like when someone tells you like, oh, well, the government influences the money in a very bad way, and the consequences are on the citizens. Like when you say that, even now when I say it, I feel like that sounds very bad, right? So and it's just hard for people to believe, because maybe they think like, well, if I would be in charge, I would never do that, right? So I cannot imagine that someone else would do that. But it's not really this is not my opinion, what I just said. It's just how it works, right? So it's not really a discussion point. It's kind of like, here's the fact, but if you are not able to, well, receive that fact, and then kind of like integrate it and challenge what you thought was true, yeah, then it's a really tough conversation, right?
absolutely. A lot of
Mm.
like you're absolutely right. A lot of very intelligent people, or we would say they're intelligent, right? Maybe because they have a degree, or that they went to Harvard, or they're economic. They went to school for economics, and they know how this system works. And you know, the bankers, people on TV, the newscasters, they all. It's crazy how they know nothing about what we know. And I feel like Bitcoiners are some of the smartest people on the planet, because we really are, in my opinion. And it takes, it definitely takes a lot of self-reflection. It's really a mirror to yourself and to your soul. Like you said, you have to challenge yourself and what you've been told. And even if you disagree, you still need to, check out that information to verify a different point of
Yeah.
view. And that's why also Bitcoin maximalists are very mentally uh, intelligent people, because there's Bitcoin SV, there's Bitcoin Cash, there's shitcoiners shilling you shitcoins all the time. There's that doubt, right, that comes into your mind, like, oh my God, is Bitcoin really going to be the real Bitcoin? Is there going to be another Bitcoin? Or just all these different
Mm-hmm.
attacks and self doubts, and shitcoiners, and the economy, and people, the news, and just so many ways that you're being attacked, that's going to test your conviction, and test your faith, and test your knowledge. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you're not going to be a Bitcoin maxi, and you're just gonna fall whim, right, and probably get scammed, and you're probably gonna buy Shiba Inu and get rug pulled, or you're probably gonna buy Dogecoin because Elon tweeted it at 70 cents and then get rug pulled. and then you're back to square one. You either turned away from crypto in
Hmm.
general, or then you become a Bitcoin maxi.
So, what do you think is like the biggest hidden thing or risk in like the traditional financial system that most people don't know or that they overlook?
That when you put your money in the bank, it's no longer your money. Also, saving money is probably the dumbest thing that people can do. And rich people don't save money, which, I just shared a video about that as well. And I've been saying that forever too. But, I think the biggest thing people overlook is when they put their money into the bank, it's not your money anymore. They lend that money out to investors such as myself and other real estate agents and, other business people as well. And again, fractional reserve banking, they lend that money out 10 times. You put $100 in, they can loan out 1,000. And then again, if you save money in the bank with inflation going on, what are you saving your money for? Just sitting there losing money. You're supposed to make your money work. Of course, you want to have, you know, maybe a rainy day fund. That's different from a savings account, right? Because your savings, what are you saving for? Your money should be working for you, because if you don't, you're not going to beat inflation. The best savings account is giving you 0.001% or 0.1% or even 1%, right? In a whole year, Bitcoin is up 100%, almost 100% in less than a year. So people don't even do simple math. In America, people are just, slow like that. I don't know why, or they just want security, right? It's
Mm.
not about being slow. They're more secure, right? Because Bitcoin fluctuates, they're more adept to, just be secure. And so they want to be safe. And when you play it safe, you're gonna
Yeah,
get hit.
and that does this also tie into? I saw you shared. I think I don't know. I think on your Instagram, like people pay too much for their homes, like you just also said it. Like, can you explain that? How a mortgage works? Like actually works, and maybe a funny story, like why also I started this podcast or how I got into Bitcoin. I was 30 and I had a mortgage, and I was working at a bank, mind you. And I talked to a colleague,
Yeah.
and he said, "Did you know that the money in the bank is not yours?" And I said, "Sorry, what?" And then we had a conversation for an hour, and then he explained to me how it worked. And then I was like, okay, I feel like an idiot, like I'm participating in this system, but I have no clue. And I also had a mortgage, and I knew, you pay interest on your mortgage, etc. But actually, what wasn't that bad with me because I had a really low like rate.
Hmm.
But let's say on a $100,000 mortgage, you probably pay like 135 ish on 100,000. So you pay like 30% more, 40% more. Well, and I see your face. Maybe it's
No,
more
I
in
mean, I'm
America,
saying that's
but
good. That's good. If that's what you got, that's great.
well, but still, I think the question is like, okay, that's apparently the reward that a bank, earns because they give you the money for that amount of time. So, apparently it's how it works. But I think there's a lot of things with Bitcoin, and then I'll let you answer. Like, there's a lot of things that are like with Bitcoin, so many things in the traditional financial system kind of sound stupid, right? Like what I just said. Like if I borrow 100K and I have to pay 130, 140 over 30 years, like is that justified? Maybe it is. I don't know, but like it's not really explained. It's just like this is how it works. Do you want it or don't you want it? There's it's just like a yes or a no, but you just don't understand, but you still do it, right?
Absolutely. And I was saying, yeah, I made the face because, like I said, I think that's pretty good because here in America, interest rates
Yeah.
now are a little bit higher now, so they're about 8, 9%. The
Mm-hmm.
example that I tweeted out was a 4 or 3% interest rate, and at a 3 or 4 interest rate over 30 years, again, you're paying for the house damn near 3 times, literally damn near 3 times, like 2.5 times. So
Yeah.
there's ways to mitigate that by making extra payments each month or each quarter to pay down you know that interest, or go directly to principal, because a majority of your payments, like you said, go to straight interest only. So especially those first couple years. I think it's the first 10 years of your mortgage goes straight to interest. So if you don't, most people don't know and they don't care. And, real estate agents don't tell you that. Mortgage brokers don't tell you that, like you said. And you're just into it. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And so, what is wealth for you then?
Wealth is a great question. To me, Bitcoin is wealth, right? Bitcoin is so many different things, right? And for me, wealth is Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to be able to be passed down to generation. And as the generations receive that Bitcoin, right, and we educate them on Bitcoin, it's going to be abundantly worth more, infinitely worth more as the generations go on. So for me, wealth is just being able to have freedom and not being tied to the system and being able to do what you want when you want, and being able to pass that generational wealth, which is that freedom, down to your kids and your kids' kids.
Does that tie into like I like what Saif Dina Moest when he talks about like prioritizing? I think he says something like future security over present happiness, like short term like short time preference versus long time preference.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I actually use that analogy as well with my credit repair program, and you can use that with a lot of things in life, right? If you go to the gym, you go to the gym one day, you're not gonna see results. You're probably gonna have to, if you want to depending on, your diet and what you're looking to accomplish, you're probably gonna have to be consistent in the gym 6 months to a year. If you want to, if you want to build wealth, it's not something that's done, in 1 year, 2 years. It's a long-term game. It's a long-term goal. It's a long-term game. So, absolutely, you have to think about the future. And I think once I had a child, and I know you have kids as well. Once you have kids, it kind of clicks for you. And a lot of people, now are not having kids due to financial reasons, which I can understand why. But I think a lot of people don't that don't have children are not they don't really care about the future because they're trying to make it them trying to make it through the day or the week, because a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. And
Mm.
when they're in that survival mode, they don't want to think, they don't have the capacity to think about the future because they're trying to survive week to week or day to day.
Do you think that's also then why we talked a bit about the rappers impressing us with all the stuff they buy, right? Like, is that also why people are like attracted to that? Like that they think they also need stuff and then they start buying stuff, right? Like I talked about this in a previous episode as well, like that because the money is kind of broken and people have like this, therefore also this short time preference, they spend it on stupid stuff, basically.
I think it has a lot to do with self-worth, um,
Mm.
and maybe the brain. Yeah, I think it's really about self-worth and the conditioning and programming of the youth. I think if we were taught better things and listen to different things growing up, we wouldn't have that need. But I also think it's again, a lot of people don't have self-worth in themselves, so they look for things to buy that's going to validate them, not knowing that it's not going to validate them in the long run.
Yeah,
Which
like by other people, you mean then?
absolutely. Um,
Mm.
I also, and that's exactly why, and again, I used to, Lil Wayne, and we all know Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, we all listen to, you know, all those people, but what do they really, when I listen to like some of that music now that I'm 34, so now that I listen to
Mm.
some of that music, I'm like, yo, we used to listen to this, like, we used to say something,
Yeah, when I was 16,
yeah.
damn.
I'm like, I would not let my son listen to that at all.
Thinking about Lil Wayne, a milli.
A million.
Yeah.
So, when they buy, cars and they say buy everything cash, and, they're talking about women and, drugs and all that stuff. All that stuff everything is a net negative. Like, it's negative. There's
Mm.
nothing positive that comes from listening to that music. Um, I guess besides the hustler's mentality, right, and the hustle and to get money, right. But if you're getting that money
Mm-hmm.
and you're spending it, right, because the saying is, I'm gonna get money
Yeah.
and get money fast, blow it fast, right, and get it. I'm gonna get it and
Mm-hmm.
blow it in because I'll make it right back. Like that's not the way to think about money. So
That's actually pretty dumb, right?
exactly,
It's funny.
it's like, oh my goodness,
But I I want to touch upon this. Like, I love rap music. Like, I was,
who
I was
doesn't?
like a village
Yeah,
boy.
who doesn't?
I was like a village, like a white village boy with 1,000 people in the village. I was just listening to rap all day. So
Absolutely.
this is not like to diss the rappers, but I find it so interesting that, like also what you said, like it influences culture so much, right? And like this showing off, but I don't know, now that we're talking about this, like some stuff just really doesn't make sense. Like it's not cool. It's actually fucking stupid if you make a lot of money and you blow it all. Like it's
It's
really
very
dumb, right?
stupid. Buying a car
But
cash.
why?
As soon as you
Also
the
weird. Yeah.
stupidest thing you can do is to buy a car cash. And I say this, and I say so much that it gets lost in the tweets, right? It gets lost in the post. It gets lost.
Yeah.
But the dumbest thing you can do is to buy a car cash. First of all, when you buy a car cash, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it loses value.
Yeah.
Second of
I
all,
think of a little baby. I spent 500 racks on a Lambo and didn't even know how to make the motherfucker go. Thinking about that.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, sorry. Finish your sentence.
no, no,
But
you're good. You're absolutely
this is a good subject. I think this is a good subject. It's so interesting. Like why? But why is that? So logically, it's kind of stupid to follow that advice, right? But it does influence like society in a sense, right? Like, and even like, of course, I observe America from a distance, right? Like Twitter. But like I see these videos of people in the club, they are like buying Cristal or champagne, they're pouring it
pouring it.
empty to battle
They
like
buy it. It's like three hundred
like
dollars, right? Because
can you elaborate on that? Like, do you know what's going on there? Like, why is that a thing? I don't know.
the reason why, yeah, it's oh man, it's a it's a great topic. It's a great subject, and like you're saying, and it's the culture, and I think it's if we want to get, I think it's more of a spiritual thing. I believe in God, and I
Mhm.
believe in I believe that there are forces out here that's trying to you know sway the youth, and they've done a good job, and I think that when you buy a $50 bottle of alcohol in the club for $300, and then you pour it out, and then you buy another one, and then you pour it out, and then you throw money, right? And then you're throwing money in there, making it rain, right? Unless you're a smart business person and you're writing that off, that makes sense, right?
Like networking expense or what? Like, what do you mean?
Which I hope they're doing because that would be stupid as hell if they're not.
That'll be great. Or marketing
Marketing
expenses in the
expenses,
sense if
exactly,
someone films it. Well,
absolutely, that makes
teach
sense.
them, man. Preach this, please.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. If you're doing that as a marketing expense, and if you're like an
Mm.
upcoming rapper and artist and you're doing that, you could also write that off as an expense. You should have an LLC. You should be operating as a business in general, and you should put your car in the business, right? And that way it's a write off, and that way you
hmm
save taxes, and all that good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but it's really just to influence and to get the youth lost. Because again, if you're drinking all this alcohol, you're smoking weed. I used to smoke weed, and there's nothing wrong with smoking weed, right? You can smoke weed if you want. I don't anymore. I used to smoke since I was 14, and I actually quit this year because I didn't want to
Good for
smoke
you,
anymore.
man.
Uh,
Yeah.
and that's fine if you smoke. I'm not hating on smokers. I used to smoke all the time. I love weed, but I stopped. But if you're drinking, it impairs your decision making, right? Then you're smoking weed, right? And then you're popping pills, right? And then you're drinking lean, right? Because this is all the things that they promote, right? And they make it look
hmm
cool. So all the kids that are 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, they're seeing you guys do it and they look up to you. So now they think it's cool. And now they're drinking and driving, popping pills, all this crazy stuff. It's a net negative, man. And it's really just to sway and to, get our children lost, man. And, ever since I had a child and, ever since I've come to that realization, man, I call out rappers all the time. I used to call out Meek Mill, used to call out Soldier Boy, I used to call out anybody, all rappers, in general. But, Meek Mill would be online talking about Dogecoin and all this crazy. I'm like, bro, stop it. You're gonna get everybody wrecked, and
Yeah.
he got everybody wrecked.
So what? last thing about this, when I talked to British Huddle in the first episode of the podcast, he said something about, you know, like everything bad or everything also bad with like culture, society is like downstream from the money. Is this also then like one example of that, in a sense? Like the broken, yeah, how do you say, like the broken example, basically, for the youth.
Let me think about that for a second. Could that be? I don't think I don't think that's because of the money. I think that's a moral and spiritual um, attack, um,
Mm.
which leads into the money. And I think the money is a part of it, but I don't think it's because of the money. I think it's really a spiritual attack and again, it's something to pretty much destroy our community and the kids, right, and to lead us on the wrong path. So I don't think it's the money um, for say. I just think it's like the evil powers that be, right?
Mm.
They is their name.
And so, yeah, they don't want you to
They
win.
don't want you to win.
So, how does Bitcoin then change your thinking? Like, what topics does it touch for you?
Um, it changed my thinking because as we just talked about I went from thinking about buying Louis Vuitton, Gucci, being a rapper myself. I used to, I like nice things, and there's nothing wrong with buying nice things as long as you can afford it, right? But I think the way to go about this is to first buy assets or start a business, and then you can buy all your toys, right? And it changed my thinking from buying. I don't even go shopping like that anymore. If I shop now, it's for my kids, it's for my girl. I really don't buy anything for me. Um, so it changed my mindset on, buying frivolous and stupid things, right? So now I
Mm.
don't buy anything that I don't really, even things that I want. I'm like, do I really want this? And even my girl, I'll be
Or
like,
do I buy more Bitcoin?
exactly. Even my girl, I'm like, we should have just bought some more Bitcoin instead of going out tonight. But
Mm.
I love taking my girl out
Well,
and whatnot. But besides that, man, I don't buy anything for me.
honestly, it's very recognizable. Like, I got some nice watches and I have 20 pairs of sneakers, but now I live like a monk almost, like very frugal, you know.
Absolutely.
But it's really about I have the same thoughts. Like, do I want to buy this, or yeah, like why do I actually want to buy this? You know, like I start thinking like what, like, to do what? Like, do I need another this or another that? But yeah, it's interesting. I also really like what you just said about just like this spiritual part. Like I feel the same. Actually, another episode with Mark, we talk about this, like the spiritual journey into Bitcoin. Like, well, what can you share about that? Because you mentioned it a few times, and I it's funny. Like, you're the seventh guest, but I see so many overlap between like the journey people have from doing the work, but also seeing this spiritual part and challenging yourself and letting go of certain beliefs and stuff. So, like, what's your point of view there?
Yeah. Bitcoin is, so I believe in God. And, back when I was younger, I used to drink. I used to, take Xanax. I used to smoke weed. I used to party a lot, right? And during my experiences, I took ecstasy. I've done a lot in my days, and I could have died a couple times, and I thank God that I know it's God because trust me, I could have died a couple times, and I know if it wasn't for God, then I wouldn't be here right now. So during my adolescent and my younger years, I took shrooms, right? I'm sure you're familiar with shrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I've taken shrooms, and that opened up my mind and helped me to understand and look at life differently. And I also microdosed as well, here and there. So that really helps me, stay humbled and stay grounded. And Bitcoin it just really reveals who you are because, as you just mentioned, it makes you think about things that you really didn't think about before, and it makes you question why. Like you said, why do I want to buy this? And when you start asking
Mm-hmm.
yourself these questions, like why am I thinking that I need to buy this and what is making me want to buy this.
Yes.
It makes
Yes.
you take a deeper journey into yourself, and it makes you realize that you're programmed and that you've been brainwashed since you're a kid. Okay, you like I have a nice watch on, I have a nice ring on, but do I need this stuff? No, I don't. Why do I want it? Because it's shiny, because I've been told, because of marketing, because of commercials, because we've been brainwashed.
But still, right? Still, I find it interesting. Like I have the same, like you know this, but you still have to watch. Like I'm not judging, but it's interesting, right? That it's not fully away, or else you would have sold it, maybe, right? It's very deeply ingrained.
hmm I bought this watch a long time ago, so this watch is it's not a new purchase.
No, it's fine. Like it's not about the watch, but I
Yeah,
think like it's just. I don't know. That was just my point. Like it's just ingrained, like very deeply, right? Like I know I'm not gonna live like what was Steve Jobs doing with his mattress and like one plate and a fork. No, you know,
yeah,
or like these funny memes like on Twitter, like nowadays guys live like with you
yeah.
see like this blow
One
up
bed and
bed
the
and like a
TV.
TV and a PlayStation or something. Like no, that's that. Like yes, you could go there, but it's more the point that it's so deeply ingrained, right? And that it's so deeply ingrained that you have to actually go on a journey in a sense.
Absolutely. And then another thing as well is this ties to traveling, right? Because I travel a lot, and I went to Jamaica, I've been to Cancun. I want to go to the continent of Africa and visit a few countries there. But when you travel, like, and I say this all the time, that Americans are spoiled rotten, and I guess Europeans as well. I'm not sure how spoiled you guys are because I'm not a European.
Probably
Yeah,
yes, yes.
compared to these,
I say yes,
absolutely. Compared to
100%.
compared to Africa, compared to Jamaica, Mexico, you don't realize
Hmm.
how good we have it until you go to these countries, right? And you see how people live with way less than us, no AC, they don't
None of the
none of
luxuries,
the luxury,
nothing. No.
and they're happy. And we're here in America, spoiled rotten, and we get pissed off if McDonald's gets our. I don't eat McDonald's,
Yes,
but people get mad if,
yes.
if their food's messed up or
The clown world videos, right? Yeah.
exactly.
No, but dude, seriously, like I said this in the previous episode as well. Like I realized that my upbringing, like the millennials, especially in Western Europe and also America, I think, but let's say in Western Europe more, we had it like the best anyone has ever had in the entirety of humanity, right? So yeah, like I know. So I know, but I also think that the traveling, as you mentioned, like that really helps in perspective. I don't know if I really like integrated this, but I do know that I'm very, very lucky, right? And that other people have had way, way, way worse. And I also feel that it's kind of, for me, that is with Bitcoin, like it's a responsibility to help other people. Like I feel inclined almost to do that, or at least try to do that, right? So just like this podcast is just, I'm starting out, I don't know what I'm doing, and just see if we can reach more people like that. That will be great.
It's and
Yeah. Interesting, huh?
collectively, absolutely, and collectively, we
Mm,
all play a part in orange pilling, the masses. But I highly
yeah.
recommend that if you haven't gone to Mexico or any third world country or just anywhere that's not it's luxurious as what we have where we have it and how we have it. It'll make you. I'm a sensitive person. So I went to Mexico and um Isla de Mujeres. It's like a little island, right? And I was walking down the street, and the person I was with at the time, or the girl I was with at the time, I had on this nice. It wasn't Versace, but it looked like a Versace shirt. It was a nice shirt, and some dude was like, "Hey, I like your shirt," and I'm like, "You really like it?" And like, "Yeah, I like it, man." And he has like the most raggedy clothes on him. Like, oh my God, I like wanted to cry, and I'm like, I just took off my shirt and gave it to him.
Yeah. Well, like, what am I
Yeah,
doing?
like,
Right?
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I gave him
Mm.
the shirt, and he almost started crying. He's like, "You really giving me this shirt?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, it's just a shirt, man. I,
That's
I
wild.
have a closet full of shirts that I don't even wear. You can have this shirt." And I'm walking around, and then after that, I'm just walking around like, man, we got it made. And I went to
Yeah,
Jamaica.
yeah, yeah.
I went to
No,
Jamaica.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I went to Jamaica on a cruise back in 20, probably 15, 16. And I went to Jamaica, they're chilling in the hut. They're chilling in huts, right? They got clay houses, and it's hot as hell. They have no AC, but they're happy, man. And um, I have some friends that live in Haiti, and he goes down with all of our old shoes and all of our old clothes that we hate and that are dirty, and he goes over there, and they're ecstatic and they're crying and they're happy, and he gives it away, and we don't even like it, and we don't even wear it, and they have nothing on their feet. They're barefoot. They don't have any clothes.
Mm.
They can barely eat. So, once I experienced that, man, it really changed my perspective on how we live, and that's why I talk as much shit as I do, because we are really spoiled in America and we don't know how good we have it.
Mm. Yeah, I fully agree, man. I think it's really good to like take moments like this and actually think about this,
Yeah.
right? Because we are just doing our thing and every day is another day. Yeah, bro.
This phone is $1,000. I'm on another
Yeah,
phone. That's
wild.
$1,000. These kids don't even have
Mm.
phones. We complain, oh, I don't have Wi-Fi. Oh, I'm losing service, and we get so pissed and we're so irate, and they don't even have internet.
I have to think of, I think it's Louis C.K. or Bill Burr. They have like, I think it's Louis C.K. He has like a bit where he says, you know what I hate? When you're like on a plane and there's Wi-Fi, and then there's people who pay for the Wi-Fi way too much money, right? For the Wi-Fi. And then they start complaining that it doesn't fucking work. What the fuck? I just paid and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. And then he says like, seriously, think about it. You're in a plane, in the air, there's Wi-Fi. You were able to pay for the Wi-Fi.
And you're so
and,
privileged enough to
and you're so
complain.
complaining about that the Wi-Fi in my plane towards my holiday destination does not work. Like, man. Oh, yeah, I had to think of that. Yeah, but it's good to think about that. Like, also, sorry, like, I love the psychedelics topic. I can talk for days. But I wanted to ask you, like, is that like a way to... I don't want to call it a shortcut, because I also think psychedelics take work, actual work, but it is a way to like humble yourself when you come from a privileged place, like America or like a Western country. What do you think of that? Like, I just had to think of that. Like, it helps you for the perspective in a sense, right? Helps you like zoom out, see your place in the world or the infinity of the universe, basically.
You hit the nail right on the head. Zoom out, because that's exactly what happens. Is that you zoom, you're lifted out of your body, right, and you get to see it from a different perspective. You're also
Mm,
connecting the neural pathways in your brain, and you're using different parts of your brain that you never used before, and you're activating different parts of your brains. And it when I've taken shrooms before, there's been times when I've taken shrooms and I cried the whole time, and I was just out. It wasn't a sad cry. It was a I'm so thankful cry.
relief.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a relief. It was a I'm so thankful cry, because whatever it is that I was thinking about at that time, it was the complete opposite. So it brings you to a place where I think it brings you to a place where you need to be, right, and not to take shrooms to like OD and trip out and be messed
No.
up on it, right?
Or go to a party
Yeah,
or
you
something.
take
No.
it
Yeah.
to, you take enough. Maybe for me, mine is like 3 grams, 3.5 grams is the eighth. Maybe that's for some people, that's maybe a little bit too much. 2 grams, 3 grams, hey, that's enough for me to, get a nice trip is what we call it. And, just breathe, right? That's exactly what
Yeah.
you do. You just take a deep breath and relax, man. And you go sit out in the porch, right? Or you go sit down and you calm yourself and you just relax, man. And it's the best thing I've ever done. One of the best things I've ever done is taking shrooms, man. It's
Yeah.
enlightened me.
I feel more and more people are into this and like researching and wanting to try this. I actually just had a friend over. He's like 48, and he was like, I want to try this together once, you know. And I said, okay, yeah, but I'm really excited. He said, I said, okay, well, we can do this, but like even like all these, I don't know what it is, but I think like people need currently like there's kind of this I don't know like this undertone of people that like want to know more about life or something, right? Like they realize that it's just going every day, and then at one moment it's 2 weeks later, and they're like, oh damn, like this is another 2 weeks going by. Like what kind of like what I want to say, like what is going on? You know, like they want to take this moment to reflect, and I think yeah, the psychedelics just really help you to gain like a new perspective, kind of like take a I don't want to say take a break, but just stand still for a minute and take that moment,
Be
right?
still, and it gives you another level of appreciation. And I'm just thankful, that I was able to, embark on that journey. And I don't think I would be the same person if I didn't. And I encourage everyone to, don't take too much. If it's your first time taking it and you're watching this, just be careful, and
No,
don't
you
take,
gotta lean
yeah, you
into
gotta lean
this.
into it
No,
and take it on a
yeah,
good mood. Don't take it when you're upset, and I highly recommend that you, microdose if you're able to do so. And, you know, I highly recommend that you guys just take that spiritual journey and look deep within yourself, right? And reflect. And like you said, take a deep breath and be still, because we're moving so fast. And I actually just got off the phone with one of my friends, and I've been telling him to buy Bitcoin, and I've been telling him to fix his credit. And a lot of my people that I know, a lot of my friends that are very close, and I don't have a lot of close friends because, I tell the truth, and a lot of people are offended by the truth, unfortunately. So my close friends that I do, that I'm cool with, I'll fix their credit for free. And I've been telling him to send me his ID, and so I can do all this stuff. He still hasn't done it, but I was on the phone with him today, and he said, "Man, I'm just tired of paying bills. I'm tired of working just to pay bills." And this ties back into Bitcoin. And I explained to him why Bitcoin's important again, and he's been stacking a little bit. And he said, "Man, he's just tired of working to pay bills and being stressed out, and just going through the motions of life." And like you said, one minute you're here, and then next one day you're 16 years old, next day you're 30, right? Like time is
yeah,
time is an
yeah.
illusion, man. And so to hear him say that, it just reminded me of me, right? And it reminded me of Bitcoin, and saying
Mm.
that we are tired of the system, and we're tired of being manipulated, and we're tired of being exploited, and we're going to fight back. And that's with Bitcoin.
And so, what's your shortest answer to how Bitcoin can contribute to personal and financial freedom? Then, like I said, shortest because I think you can probably go for long on this. But like, what's the core of that? I'd say.
Let's start with what is yours, and then I'll go, because I'm not sure how to
I'll
phrase
tell
this.
you. I'll tell you. So when I realized that the money in the bank wasn't mine, and I actually read up on it, like how it works, like my conclusion that when I put my money on the bank, I basically borrow it, or I lend it to the bank. They borrow it from me. That's contractually. I sign for that actually when I open an account, and then they try to make more money of it, right? Like that's their business model, which is fine because I think banks started as like a credit facilitators for businesses, etc. Like I think that's necessary. Of course, now there's all these other things you can think a lot of that, but let's say that's just their business model. But when I realized that when it goes great and the bank makes a lot of money, I don't see any upside of that. Right? Only the people who hold their stock or get dividends, like they see the upside of that. But when it goes bad, I do get like the results there, right? So for people listening, like in America, you have the FDIC insurance, right? Up until I don't know. Well, now it's kind of like a battle how high it can go, but let's say 250K for now. In my country, it's 100K, right? So if the bank loses your money, quote unquote, you get that money back. That's the insurance that is there. But where does that money come from? Oh, that money comes from the government. Where does the money from the government come from? That comes from the citizens, right? So when I kind of like went through that and felt like, I don't want to participate in that, not like in an anti-bank way, but it just doesn't make sense for me. And so when I realized that my money or that what I earned was trapped in a system that I couldn't really like rationalize and agree with to participate in that sense, and I knew about Bitcoin and I learned more, then and this was one of my biggest like clicks when it clicked was, hey, I can move that what I own to another place, which I can argument is provably better. And that has given me a lot of freedom in the sense that I'm a pretty risk averse person. And I once heard also someone said, like, you have an extra job that you don't know you have, right? Like you have to mitigate the risk of having your money in the bank, and due to inflation and debasement, it's melting away. That's why people invest in stuff, or they do like these stupid stonks or stupid meme coins or whatever, right? So you already take risk because you have a job or you have a venture or something. But then when you come home, you basically start your second job, which is taking more risk to mitigate something that is happening by default, right? The debasement of the money is a programmed thing in a current financial system. And yeah, my conclusion was I don't want to do that because I'm not a risk taking guy. I want something boring and safe, and that's actually why I'm in Bitcoin. And that is what's given me a lot of freedom in not having to think about other investments and stuff. I don't have any other investments, basically. Yeah, that gave me freedom in my mind, and also eventually, well, what we just mentioned, like I just live like I don't have the Bitcoin. I live pretty frugal, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
I try. It's hard though. It's still hard. Like I have the same kind of like beliefs as you, right? Like to buy stupid stuff sometimes.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I think that's what given me freedom. Like just less to think about. Like there's less in my head, I think.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's a great way to put it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate with that as well. And like you said, if you're not risk adverse and you want to be safe, right? Bitcoin is the way to go. And not only is it safe, it's the best asset ever on planet Earth, ever. I don't know why people don't understand. It's the best asset ever that's ever
Okay,
been.
and why? Why? Just say one sentence why.
Well, it's the
Yeah, this is a challenge, I know.
yeah, that's a challenge. The best asset ever. Bitcoin is freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, yesterday I tweeted to someone like Bitcoin is the thing. I know, wait, I have to say it correctly. Like I want to look up the tweet, but I think it's like engineered, the closest approximation of engineered truth. That's what I said.
Mm,
And so it's code. It's just code. It's just rules, open rules that anyone can adopt if they want to. And if they adopt it, they have to play by the rules. If they don't play by the rules, they cannot adopt it. Right? So it's just that thing. And you have to agree on that thing. That's why I say truth, because it is that, and you accept that, or you cannot play. That's why I call it truth. And that is just it. It's just a set of rules. And you can do whatever you want. You can adopt it or not, but the thing just keeps on going.
it's
Like it
gonna
doesn't
go.
care if you adopt it or not.
That's right.
Sorry, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good. So Bitcoin for me, when I learned that again, the money's being debased, we're being duped, we're being stolen from, our children are being stolen from. The banking cartels, abuse us. The governments abuse us. They lie, they steal, they cheat, and they smile in our face and lie on media all day. Once I figured that out and I saw the light and I learned about Bitcoin and figured out that I can escape the system, escape the matrix, and have something that I can actually own and move it without permission. I'm I hate asking for permission. So Bitcoin is permissionless, freedom, power, wealth, and so much more all in one. And once you understand that, and once you grasp that, and once you have conviction, you'll get Bitcoin tatted on you, right? Even on your face, on your arm, and you'll stack away, and you'll have laser eyes, right? Or focus, right? Laser eye
Mm.
focus on Bitcoin, and I highly recommend everybody just stack some Bitcoin in. If you guys have any questions or concerns, make sure you hit us up. Bitcoin for Millennials, thank you for having me on. It's been a great hour session, great hour talk, and I congratulate you for your new podcast. And I know you'll do a great job of, orange pilling the masses.
I'll try, man. Thanks so much for being on. I have one last question,
Absolutely.
and that I ask everyone.
Absolutely.
What's a core belief that you will never let go?
Let me think about that one. Or belief. I have a few, but I'll just stick to this one. There's no white, there's no black, there's no purple, yellow, green. We're all one humanity. We're all one human, right? There's one race, the human race, and we're all one color. That's the color orange. We're all Bitcoiners, and we're all Satoshi Nakamoto.
I love that, man. I actually want to add something to this.
Go ahead.
I've been waiting actually to say this. Like, I want to spread this more. So I have a son. He's 5 years old, right? He's seen tall people, small people, fat people, thin people. And like he was watching something on Netflix, like some animation thing, like a bunch of different children, like 6 children playing with each other. And I asked him, like, who do you like the best? Or like, who do you like the most? And then he said, the girl in the red dress. And it was a black girl. And I thought, this is so amazing, man. This child is 5 years old and he does not see color. Seeing color or judging on color is the most stupidest thing ever. And I love that you talked about this. Like, again, like he sees all these different types of people. He has never, ever said anything about skin color. Never. And that's just, I don't know what to say. Like, we have to listen to the kids, man. Like, what is going on? So I absolutely love that you talked about that, because I love that.
That's the love, man.
So that's a great
the
ending.
love that's a perfect ending, and that's the love that we need in the world, And there's so many things that they try to divide us with race and color and ethnic religion and where you live and all that. It's like, oh my gosh, no, we're all human. We're supposed to love each other, and all of us collectively, God made us all, right, and we're all together, God, and we come from God. So I think that's just how we should live, man. Like I said, we're all orange, we're all Bitcoiners, and we're all Satoshi Nakamoto.
Thanks, man. So where can people follow you? I'll link to your YouTube and your Twitter. What's the best way?
I'll send you the links as well. And yeah, so my music page is Chris Knight 407. My Bitcoin page is @Bitcoin Chris. On Twitter, it's Chris Knight 407. Instagram, Chris Knight 407. That's why I'm gonna send you the link, because it's a lot. And then you can just click the links down below. And then Facebook, it's official Bitcoin Chris.
Awesome, man. Well, let's stay in touch and talk soon.
Absolutely. Much respect. And thank you so much for having me on, brother.
Thanks, man. Cheers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, it would be amazing if you could rate, review, and subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice. It will help us educate more millennials on the importance of Bitcoin. You can follow and connect with me on Twitter. I'm Bram K. That's @BRAMK. And if you are or know someone who has an interesting perspective on Bitcoin that's worth sharing, hit me up. I read and reply to every single message. I appreciate your support and hope you'll be here for the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.